Alrighty, so to be honest, how many of you guys wish you were sitting somewhere on a white sandy beach instead of trapped in the concrete jungle that we live in?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, key lime pie is the closest way the easiest way you can get there without having to pay baggage fees. Now, as far as qualifications go, let me preface this by saying I am not a chef. However, the title of this recipe, which I found on foodnetwork.com, which of course is a pretty well-regarded source of recipes of all kinds, was easy key lime pie recipe. So regardless of your level of prowess in the kitchen, you can make this with relatively few steps. I was actually unaware of the origins of the name key lime pie before I began researching for this project, but it derives from the fact that they traditionally are made with key limes, which of course are found in Key West, Florida. So this was one of those items, like I believe margaritas, that originated in Key West, Florida. It may not be as popular or well known as other pies, but it definitely has a unique flavor which cannot be matched by any others. For my discussion today, I'm going to discuss the ingredients and their functions within the pie, mix the ingredients, and then we'll leave it in the pie crust to congeal. The first step, we want to, of course, gather the ingredients. The centerpiece of it is cream cheese. This is essentially the cement that holds together. You'll want to include 8 ounces of cream cheese, pre-softened. In addition, you'll want to include 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. Just as with the cream cheese, if calories are a concern for you, they do make these in various iterations that are low fat or low calorie or non-sugar. The purpose of this is to help liquefy it because, of course, it is an actual cheese, and so in order to soften it up so that it can be mixed with the ingredients, we need something to thin it out. Now, the original recipe called for 4 ounces of lime juice, but if you're like me and you prefer your desserts to be tangy or more flavorful, I would recommend adding up to 8 ounces. Again, it's just a taste. 1 teaspoon of vanilla because it complements the milky flavor of it as well as the lime, and 1 graham cracker crust, partially for flavor and also because you need something strong enough to hold all of it in. So the first step that we're going to do is and one more item, we'll need a bowl to mix it in and a mixer. A handheld mixer or whisk will not work simply due to the density of the cream cheese. The first step you want to do is, if you're pressed for time especially, microwave the cream cheese for up to 15 seconds, unless you have one that's pre-softened variety. And you want to squeeze it into the bowl. Get out! Not obeying my commands. Now, because it does congeal, I mean, it is a form of cheese, you want to make sure you scrape some of it out. All right, and next step is to add in 1 can of condensed milk. So the first thing we're going to do is add these, which will make up the base for it. And again, this is a kind of thick, viscous liquid.
Yeah.
It did feel a bit odd to be buying some of this and not having babies, but all right. And once it all drips out, you want to cover your ears and you turn the mixer on, set it in low. Now the goal is to get it as thin and creamy as possible because ultimately we are going to pour it into a pie shell. As you can see, it is a pretty thick cheese, so it does still have some of the original thickness to it, which is not a problem because we're going to blend it further. The next step, as I said, the recipe calls for 4 ounces of lime juice, or 1/4 of a cup, but my preference was to add up to this helps to lend it a green color to it. However, if you're presenting it for a party or some sort of function, many people also add green food coloring, so you may have seen one which had a more rich green color to it. Now, because this tends to splash, you'll want to make sure you hold it away from you. And so then mix it again. Once you mix it together, the last step is to add a teaspoon of vanilla. And give me one to mix that. And now that it's been fully mixed, you'll see it's taken on a much thinner, more liquidy texture. You pour it back into the graham cracker crust and leave it in the refrigerator, ideally overnight, but 3 or 4 hours at the minimum it will need to recongeal. So just reviewing my main points, I discussed the makings of a key lime pie, the origins of the name, and the ingredients involved in it. And I'll close with a quote from Oliver Stone movie Natural Born Killers. Let's give key lime pie a day in court and a large glass of milk.